out of the resistant darkness, the dawn goddess has emerged, bringing her message from the unknown immortal light. And she has built her aura, her wonderful surrounding atmosphere of magnificent hues. And she's buried a seed of that beauty in the hours of human time. But then she sees the space is ready for her feet. She has to move on. She half looks behind for her veiled son, which we haven't seen yet, and then thoughtful went to her immortal work. I'll read on from there. Earth felt the imperishable's passage close. The waking ear of nature heard her steps, and wideness turned to her its limitless eye, and scattered on sealed depths, her luminous smile kindled to fire the silence of the worlds. All grew a consecration and a rite. Air was a vibrant link between earth and heaven. The wide-winged hymn of a great priestly wind arose and failed upon the altar hills. The high boughs prayed in a revealing sky. Here, where our half-lit ignorance skirts the gulfs, on the dumb bosom of the ambiguous earth, here where one knows not even the step in front, and truth has her throne on the shadowy back of doubt. On this anguished and precarious field of toil, outspread beneath some large, indifferent gaze, impartial witness of our joy and bale, our prostrate soil bore the awakening ray. Here too, the vision and prophetic gleam lit into miracles, common meaningless shapes. Then the divine afflatus, spent, withdrew, unwanted, fading from the mortal's range. A sacred yearning lingered in its trace, the worship of a presence and a power too perfect to be held by death-bound hearts, the prescience of a marvelous birth to come. Only a little the godlight can stay. Spiritual beauty, illumining human sight, lines with its passion and mystery matter's mask, and squanders eternity on a beat of time. As when a soul draws near the sill of birth, adjoining mortal time to timelessness, a spark of deity lost in matter's crypt, its luster vanishes in the inconscient plains. That transitory glow of magic fire, so now dissolved in bright, accustomed air. The message ceased, and waned the messenger. The single call, the uncompanioned power, drew back into some far-off secret world the hue and marvel of the supernal beam. She looked no more on our mortality. The excess of beauty natural to God-kind could not uphold its claim on time-born eyes. Too mystic real for space tenancy, her body of glory was expunged from heaven. The rarity and wonder lived no more. There was the common light of earthly day. Affranchised from the respite of fatigue, once more the rumor of the speed of life pursued the cycles of her blinded quest. All sprang to their unvarying daily acts. The 1,000 peoples of the soil and tree obeyed the unforeseeing instant's urge. And leader here with his uncertain mind, alone who stares at the future's covered face. Man lifted up the burden of his fate. We're starting this side.
Or felt the imperishable passage close, the waiting ear of nature heard her steps, and the wideness turned to her its limitless eye, and scattered on sealed depths her luminous smile, hidden to fire the silence of the words.
Yes. So this imperishable being, this is the dawn goddess. She's moved on, but Sri Aurobindo starts to describe how the earth has responded to the passage of her presence. Earth felt the imperishable's passage close. It's felt the closeness of the dawn goddess and that wonderful message that she was bringing. It's as if the whole of earth, nature, was listening wakefully. The waking ear of nature heard the steps of the goddess, and the wideness of the earth turned towards the goddess its limitless eye. It seems that she smiles. Her smile, her luminous smile, her smile of light is scattered on these sealed depths of matter, as if they are closed up. But although they seem to be closed, that smile, it's as if it lights a fire, kindled to fire the silence of the worlds. To kindle means to light a fire. And this is the fire of aspiration and adoration that gets lighted up in nature with the passage of the dawn goddess. Lady at the back, would you read?
All bloom the consecration and the wit. Air was a free, vibrant link between earth and Eden. The white winged hymn of great priestly wind arose and faded upon the altar is. The eye rose prayed in a radiant sky.
Yes. So everything on earth, it becomes like a worship, a ritual of worship, in consecration, offering itself to that wonderful presence and the message that she brings. Everything in nature responds. The air becomes vibrant, it's vibrating, and it's the link between the earth and heaven, the skies, the higher levels of consciousness. And on the hills, it's as if a wind comes, and that wind is like a priest. A priest is one who makes the offering from the earth to the heavens, no? And as he does so, he chants. So there's a sound of that wind on the hills. It's as if that wind has wide wings chanting. No? The sound rises and then it dies away. And the trees are lifting up their boughs, praying. And we see them against the sky. That sky is revealing some mystery, some great truth. About these lines, Sri Aurobindo has written a letter. One of his disciples was in the literary world and corresponded with various critics, and one of those critics had criticized these lines as being too imaginative, and Sri Aurobindo says this is not imaginative language. This is a very precise description of an experience. His experience, he had experienced the dawn like this consecration of nature, and the way that the air seemed to be worshipping and the trees worshipping in this first light of dawn. Klaus, you'll read.
Here, where our half-lit ignorance skirts the gulfs, on a dumb bosom of the ambiguous earth, here where one knows not even the step in front, and truth has her throne on the shadowy back of doubt. On this anguished and precarious field of toil, outspread beneath some large indifferent gaze, impartial witness of our joy and bale, our prostrate soil bore the awakening ray.
Yes. So this is about the human world here, where our ignorance, our twilight, half-lit ignorance, is being carried around the deep gulfs of space as the earth carries us around on its bosom, you know? This dumb bosom of matter which can't express itself, this dumb bosom of the ambiguous earth. When something is ambiguous, it means that it has several meanings, that we cannot be quite sure what it means because there are different alternatives. So Sri Aurobindo uses this adjective in connection with the earth. He also speaks of the earth being doubtful. Our world is ambiguous and doubtful. We don't know what its true significance is. Here on our earth, where one knows not even the step in front, we can't look far into the future. We never know what's going to happen at the next moment. Any shock or surprise can come. We don't know even the step in front. And here in our world, truth has her throne on the shadowy back of doubt. Yes. A throne is the seat that a ruler uses. But truth is seated or based on doubt in our world. We have to test and ask and find out. And it's difficult because everything is so ambiguous. It's difficult for us to be sure of any conclusions. And it needs to be like that. We shouldn't be credulous. We shouldn't believe too easily appearances and what we hear and what we are told. It's an important thing to doubt and to question and to test and find out some deeper thing before deciding what is true and what is not. Another characteristic of our earth is that it is a field of toil for us here. Everybody has to work somehow. Everything happens through effort. And there is suffering, there is anguish, and it's a precarious field of toil. We can't rely for sure on anything. Anything may happen at any moment. And this field of toil seems to be spread out beneath the sky as if something is looking at us but is not really interested in it. A large, indifferent gaze. We like to imagine that there are friendly presences, but very often we look at the sky and we think, how can there be anybody there? The sky is indifferent, doesn't care about what happens to us here. No? It seems like an impartial witness. The sky is just watching, and it doesn't prefer this one or this happening or that happening. It is impartial. That's our world. The soil that we base ourselves on is prostrate. It's just lying flat. and it just bears that awakening ray of light, of higher light, the unknown immortal light that the dawn goddess brings to us. Martin.
Here too, the vision and prophetic gleam lit into miracles, common meaningless shapes. Then the divine afflatus, spent, withdrew, unwanted, fading from the mortal's range.
This moment of dawn doesn't last long, no? So here too, for a moment, that wonderful vision, that prophetic gleam, that light which was foretelling some wonderful possibility of the future, has lit up into miracles all the ordinary, common, meaningless shapes that we see every day. Whenever I read this line, I remember an experience which I had in a railway station in North India many, many decades ago, when I woke up in my compartment and the dawn light was lighting all the common meaningless shapes and all the ordinary colors that surrounding of the railway station, the platform and the buildings and the people, just lit up so magically into miracles. No? That's what the dawn does. But then it's over. That divine breath is used up and it withdraws. Perhaps one of the reasons why it withdraws is because there's no response from the human world. It is unwanted, and so it fades away from our human range. It moves into other planes and worlds. Janaka.
The sacred yearning lingered in its trace, the worship of her presence and power, too perfect to be held by death's boundaries. The patience of a marvelous birth to come.
Yes. The mother has spoken about how at certain times of the day there's a very special atmosphere. For instance, she speaks about the sunset hour, when the sun has sunk below the horizon. She says if you are sensitive, you can feel an immense sense of regret and yearning at the loss of that presence of the sun and an aspiration for it to return. So this is something similar. That wonderful dawn light has come and lit everything up, but now it's faded. But somehow in nature, this sacred yearning is lingering as it fades away, as the light fades away. That yearning is partly worship of that presence and that power which is too perfect to be held by our hearts, which are in the grip of death. And the other part of that yearning is a prescience, a knowledge, a foreknowledge that one day this light will come to stay. There will be a marvelous birth. Of course, the dawn will come again the next day and the next day and the next day. And each time it brings a new light, a new possibility. Chandra.
Only a legend the godlike can stay. spiritual beauty illuminating human sight, lines with its pressure and mystery letters mosque, and
squanders.
Eternity on a beat of time.
Yes. Squanders means wasting. If you have somebody gives you a present and you think, oh, how wonderful, I've got some money and I can spend it. And then you go and spend it on next to nothing, you know? Squandering, wasting your riches. But, let's go back to the beginning. The God light, this divine light which comes with the dawn, can only stay with us for a little while. For a moment, for a few moments, this spiritual beauty lights up our human sight. And it turns everything into miracles. So what it does, this mask of matter, which is hiding the hidden divinity, gets lit up, and we see lines. Maybe it lights up the features, making them stand out very clearly. Or it may be that the light is behind, inside, lining the mask, and we can only just see it shining out around the edges. Like sometimes we can see the sun behind a cloud. You know? There's a beautiful golden line around the edge of it. And there's the proverb that every cloud has a silver or a golden lining. So that God light comes for a moment. It lights up everything, lines with its passion and its mystery, its intensity and its ungraspableness, its mysteriousness, and spends the whole of eternity on just one beat of time, squanders, gives everything that is eternal, just in that moment of time. Subbu?
As when a soul dwells near the sill of birth, adjoining mortal time to timelessness, a spark of clarity lost in matter's state. Its luster vanished in the inconscient light. That transistor glow of magic fire, so now dissolved in bright accustomed air.
Thank you. So Sri Aurobindo says that that wonderful glow that just lasts for a few moments, this glow of magical fire that the dawn goddess brings, gets dissolved in the ordinary bright air that we see every day. And he says that this is like when a soul leaves its soul world and comes into our world, as when a soul draws near the sill, the threshold, that it will cross over from the soul world into the material world. The sill of birth, when it will be born. This sill of birth adjoins, it connects mortal time to the timeless state of the soul world. So when it does that crossing over, the soul's light, its shining light, vanishes as it enters into our world, in the inconscient planes, the planes of matter. So that's how it is when this wonderful dawn glow dissolves in the light of ordinary day. Sivan, you've got the place? You'll read.
The
the message ceased and wanted the messenger, the single call, the unconscious power, drew back into some far-off secret world. The view and marvel of the supernal being. She looked no more on our mortality.
Thank you. So in the same way, that message, the dawn message that she wrote in her hieroglyphs of wonderful colors on the sky, the message ceased, it's over. And the messenger waned, fades away. The moon waxes, it grows, and then it wanes. It becomes smaller and smaller and smaller until we don't see it at all. So the messenger wanes like that. This single call. She comes to tell us something, to invite us to a higher light. No? She's an uncompanioned power. There's nobody like her. She draws back into some far-off secret world, far off and secret from us. No? She draws back with her all the beautiful color and the marvel of this supernal beam, this beam which has come from above, from the unknown immortal light, ablaze upon creation's quivering edge. This beam that she brought has come from the transcendent worlds. But now it's gone, and she is gone. She's no longer looking at our world of death, of mortality, of birth and death. Joel?
The excess of beauty, natural to Godkind, could not uphold its claim on time-born eyes. Too mystic real for space tenancy, her body of glory was expunged from heaven. The rarity and wonder lived no more.
So those divine beings have so much beauty, an excess of beauty. It's natural to them. No? But somehow that can't remain in our world. We can't go on seeing them. We may get a glimpse, no? But that special kind of intense beauty can't uphold its claim on our time-born eyes. Her body, the body of the dawn goddess, is too real, but it's real in a mystic way. It can't inhabit our space. She can't stay here for long. So her body of glory was glimpsed for a moment. She showed herself. She gave her message. But then that vision is expunged as if it's just wiped off from the sky, from heaven. That rarity, that unusual, very, very special light and that wonder is no longer there. Instead, Sergei?
There was the common light of present day, that much as, on the respite of a chief, once more there remain on the street of light, pursuing the cycles of a blind quest.
So that lovely dawn glow has vanished. There's just the common light of earthly day. So life is affranchised, set free. Now the common light of earthly day has come. There's been a time of respite, a time of rest, when tired people can sleep, no? But now that time is over. So life sets off again on its race, its run. And as it moves, it makes a sound. Hear the word rumor. It means a sound. We hear the movements of life. And that sound is following the cycles, these wheels, turning wheels of the blinded quest of life. Life is always looking for something, running after something, but she's blind. She doesn't really know, can't really see what it is that she's running after. Alice?
All sprang to their unvarying daily acts, the thousand peoples of the soil and tree obeyed the unforeseen instant's urge, and leader here with his uncertain mind, alone, who stares at the future's covered face, man lifted up the burden of his fate.
So all the living beings, the dawn comes, the day comes, and they all wake up and start doing what they do every day. Their unvarying daily acts. There's all the 1,000 peoples, many, many more than 1,000, all the different races and beings who inhabit the soil, who inhabit the trees in the forest. What they are doing is they are just following the impulse of the moment, the unforeseeing instant's urge. They are not seeing into the future. They just do what they do at every moment, impelled by life. But man is different. Man here on earth is the leader. And he has to lead with his mind. But it's an uncertain mind. He doesn't also, life is blind, the mind is also uncertain. But human beings do stare at the face of the future. The face is covered, but still we want to see. We try to see what is going to happen, what's going to come next. The only species who do that, who wonder, oh, what will happen next? So it is daytime, and the human race also has to lift up the burden of his fate. If we were just following the instant's urge, the unforeseeing instant's urge, perhaps our lives wouldn't be such a burden to us. But when we wake up in the morning, we immediately notice, oh, this has to be done, and that has to be done, and the other thing has to be done. And that's what makes us sometimes reluctant to wake up. That was the feeling on the first page of the poem. Oh, let me go back to sleep. Why do I have to wake up?
But Shraddhavan is a physical mind. For example, early morning when you stand and I do this, I do that, is a physical mind. You repeat.
Yeah, if it were only the physical mind doing the routine acts, it wouldn't be so bad. But there's the other parts of the mind. There's the desire mind, the oh, I wish and I want, and then there's the rational part of the mind that says, it would be better if I did this or that, and I know so-and-so is waiting to meet me this morning, and we envisage all those things, staring at the future's covered place. Actually, we don't know what's going to happen, but we presume certain things are going to happen.
But they got the peace in the mind.
Yes, that's of course the right thing to do. But still, since humanity is the leader here, we do have a burden, we do have a responsibility. And that's what we lift up every morning when we take up our life. I think I will read the rest of page 6, because this speaks about this burden also. And Savitri too awoke among these tribes that hastened to join the brilliant summoner's chant, and lured by the beauty of the apparent ways, acclaimed their portion of ephemeral joy. That's what the human beings do, and the animals. But Savitri is different. She is akin to the eternity when she came. No part she took in this small happiness. A mighty stranger in the human field, the embodied guest within made no response. The call that wakes the leap of human mind, its checkered, eager motion of pursuit, its fluttering hued illusion of desire, visited her heart like a sweet alien note. Time's message of brief light was not for her. In her there was the anguish of the gods, imprisoned in our transient human mold, the deathless, conquered by the death of things. A vaster nature's joy had once been hers, but long could keep not its gold heavenly hue, or stand upon this brittle earthly base. A narrow movement on time's deep abysm, life's fragile littleness denied the power, the proud and conscious wideness, and the bliss she had brought with her into the human form, the calm delight that weds one soul to all, the key to the flaming doors of ecstasy. So Savitri's reaction as she wakes up is rather more complex than that either of the animals and birds or of the ordinary human beings. I think we can stop there. Anybody has any questions they want to ask? Yes, Janaka.
155.
Yes.
I ask you if you want to tell something.
Sorry?
I want to ask you
Yes.
if you can tell something.
About this line, man lifted up the burden of his fate? Is that
Patience
sorry?
of a marvelous birth to come.
The prescience of a marvelous birth to come. Yes, perhaps I didn't say enough about that one. Prescience is knowing in advance, seeing that something must happen. Science is knowledge. Pre-science, knowing in advance. So part of that yearning that's there in nature or in the earth goddess, as the dawn goes away, there's this wish that that light could stay longer, but there's also a knowledge that something wonderful is going to be born because of this seed that's been planted in the hours.
In all traditions there is that, no?
Yes.
The Christians of patience builds.
Of something new.
The Christian tradition is the star, no, for the death of the Christ.
Yes. Yes.
And this is of the Savitri.
Sorry?
Is the Christians of the birth of the Savitri?
I think so, yes. Yes. Except that Savitri's been already born, no? But it means a new birth for the earth, which Savitri will bring about.
But I will ask you, at the line 175,
Yes.
the rarity and wonder lead no more, no? Is like the opposite, no?
Yes, the
Because
dawn
the
goes
patience
away.
is a big hope, no?
Yes.
And this is a big...
The dawn goes away, and there's the common light of earthly day with everything that that means. Yeah, so that dawn light comes only for a moment. Yes, Alice?
What line is the line that has the word prescience? I can't find it. Okay, thank you. 155.
Yes, Andres.
About that word prescience, it's like you know something is going to happen, or it's like sort of a feeling, like an abstract feeling.
It can be either. Prescience really should be that you really know. But in our world, prescience is a kind of supposition, a guess. It looks like, you know. But here perhaps it's a bit more than that. It's a real foreseeing in the depths of nature, in the earth consciousness, that, oh, she's gone now, but she will be returning. There will be a glorious birth to come.
I was just struck by line 136, and there was a vibrant link between earth and heaven. Because it reminded me, I don't know if there are any other Beatles fans in the room, but George Harrison's track Within You, Without You begins, we were talking about the space between us all. And this relates to, it's actually the first time he unknowingly took LSD. And he said what he had formerly thought was empty space between us is this vibrating energy which you could suddenly see.
Yes.
And it was that really opened his eyes to the spiritual world.
Yes.
And that there are far more things
in heaven and earth than we know about. Yeah. So that's, and of course that was Sri Aurobindo's experience. He could experience earth as a really vibrating link between our material world and our surface consciousness and the higher, the more subtle worlds. Yeah. So that's why he said it's not just a simile or an imaginary picture. This is an experience.
I'm interested in the line 161, adjoining mortal time
to timeless.
timelessness.
Yes. It seems to suggest that the world where the souls live between births is beyond time, or beyond our time, but it's time with a capital T, so it's really some transcendent state. But they don't stay there. They come and take birth here. So there's a threshold between the timeless state and our time. The sill, the door sill. Is that enough? Or you want something more? I don't.
It just seems
There's a space.
miraculous.
It is something miraculous, of course. Yes. There's a state, we can say a state rather than a place, which is beyond time and space. The transcendent state. But that's very close to ours. In fact, it's interpenetrating our time and space. So it's possible for a disembodied being, a soul that has a form but not a material body, can cross over this sill and take a body, be born into a body. Yes, Matthew.
Earlier on, you highlighted Wordsworth in the Common Light.
Yes.
In those lines as well, when the soul draws near the sill of birth, joining mortal time to timelessness. I don't remember the title of the poem, but Wordsworth uses the birth and the death of the sun, well, the rising and the setting of the sun, as a metaphor for the human birth.
Yes.
And it says the sun that is our soul at birth elsewhere had its setting. And there's this idea that there is this other place where the souls exist before they are born in human form. And he talks about we come into this world trailing the light of heaven. And you can really see.
He experienced that. That was his experience, no? That the child is still trailing some heavenly memories and experiences and atmosphere with it. And then that's what gradually fades into the light of common day as we grow older. Nobody asked about this line, a spark of deity lost in matter's crypt. It's line 162. That's describing the soul. The soul is a little spark of divinity, no? And as it takes birth in the material world, it just gets lost in this crypt, in this deep space. This crypt, the word has many suggestions, but it's a space in the foundations of a building. So it gets lost in the inconscient planes that are there at the base of our human world. And we don't see its light anymore. We'd only see the physical form that it's taken on. Crypt also means mysterious, no, cryptic, something that's mysterious, difficult to understand.
Shraddhavan, what is the UK pronunciation of respite?
Respite.
Is there ever a respite, or is it using respite equal?
How did I stress it? The respite of fatigue. I read a franchised from the respite of fatigue. I think I did that because of the rhythm of the line. But for me, it's a normal pronunciation that we need some respite. We can't go on and on and on doing things. We always need a pause. So, because we get tired, we are given this pause, this time of pause, the night, but the dawn comes to wake us up and life starts again. Earth felt the imperishable's passage close. The waking ear of nature heard her steps, and whiteness turned to her its limitless eye, and scattered on sealed depths her luminous smile kindled to fire the silence of the world. All grew a consecration and a rite. Air was a vibrant link between earth and heaven. The wide-winged hymn of a great priestly wind arose and failed upon the altar hills. The high boughs prayed in a revealing sky. Here, where our half-lit ignorance skirts the gulfs on the dumb bosom of the ambiguous earth, here where one knows not even the step in front, and truth has her throne on the shadowy back of doubt, on this anguished and precarious field of toil, outspread beneath some large, indifferent gaze, impartial witness of our joy and bale. Our prostrate soil bore the awakening ray. Here too the vision and prophetic gleam lit into miracles, common, meaningless shapes. Then the divine afflatus, spent, withdrew, unwanted, fading from the mortal's range. A sacred yearning lingered in its trace, the worship of a presence and a power too perfect to be held by death-bound hearts, the prescience of a marvelous birth to come. Only a little the godlight can stay. Spiritual beauty illumining human sight lines with its passion and mystery matter's mask, and squanders eternity on a beat of time. As when a soul draws near the sill of birth, adjoining mortal time to timelessness, a spark of deity lost in matter's crypt, its luster vanishes in the inconscient plains. That transitory glow of magic fire, so now dissolved in bright accustomed air. The message ceased and waned the messenger. The single call, the uncompanioned power, drew back into some far-off secret world the hue and marvel of the supernal beam. She looked no more on our mortality. The excess of beauty natural to God-kind could not uphold its claim on time-born eyes. Too mystic real for space tenancy, her body of glory was expunged from heaven. The rarity and wonder lived no more. There was the common light of earthly day. Affranchised from the respite of fatigue, once more the rumour of the speed of life pursued the cycles of her blinded quest. All sprang to their unvarying daily acts. The thousand peoples of the soil and tree obeyed the unforeseeing instant's urge. And leader here, with his uncertain mind, alone who stares at the future's covered face, man lifted up the burden of his fate.